analysts have suggested the United States is experiencing a re-emergence of McCarthyism. Anti-Russia and anti-communist sentiment appears to be on the rise, with those criticising US policy being dubbed Putin puppets and those promoting left-wing policies labelled communist. Senator Joseph McCarthy, of course, launched his notorious campaign against communist influence this week, 70 years ago.
His claims of communist conspiracies forever altered American politics and culture and cost many their livelihoods.
Everyone from top military brass down to actors and directors.
His claims were initially swallowed until he pointed his finger at the army.
In this committee, activities may well determine whether this nation will live or die.
The televised hearings allowed the public to see for the first time the senator's aggressive manner, and for many, hear his wild accusations.
Look, you've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir?
Broadcaster Edward Murrow is credited with ending McCarthy's crusade and career. His powerful editorials are referenced in journalism textbooks to this day.
But the line between investigating and persecuting is a very fine one, and the junior senator from Wisconsin has stepped over it repeatedly. We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason.
Censured in the Senate and ostracised by his own party, McCarthy turned to the bottle and died aged 48.
The United States didn't really recover from this until after 1960, when the hysteria really died down.
But McCarthy-like hysteria is arguably now on the rise. US broadcasters and pundits are among those spouting Russia conspiracy theories and Cold War rhetoric.
The Russians, Vladimir Putin, Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia, Putin and Russia. Second of the 20th century's great evils, communism, Russia, communism, Russia, assault by Russia.
Critics of US foreign policy are often dubbed Putin puppets, and the communist tag is still an effective, oft-employed smear.
Bernie Sanders.
Well, I think he's a communist. I mean, you know, look, I think of communism when I think of Bernie.
Fears of communism have been exploited since the 1910s. Joseph McCarthy may be the most notorious to do so, but he won't be the last. Brent O'Halloran, Sky News.
Well, Bernie Sanders is definitely a socialist, and there's plenty of on the Green left who want to bring down capitalism. They say fixing the climate is not compatible with capitalism.
Yes, yeah, but they're just not being honest about their main aim. They're actually Marxists. I just read a biography of William F. Buckley Jr., who's intellectually very respectable, and he was a supporter of Joe McCarthy. We tend to think of McCarthy as just being paranoid and off the rails and that kind of thing. But at the time, in the 1950s, what united conservatives was anti-communism. Communism was the big enemy. It was the Cold War. There was the possibility of mutually assured destruction. So being and the communists were infiltrating America. I mean, Buckley was convinced, he thinks it's quite right, that there were a significant number of people in the US State Department who were communist sympathisers and feeding information. So there was something behind the McCarthyism.
He was pretty dogged.